Hey, what's up? I'm Doob Solo for Doomed and Stoned. I'm here with Shane Trimble of High Reeper. Shane, thank you for meeting up with me.
Thank you for having me. We already
High
went
Reaper.
the icebreaker, so I'm already loosened up. You got me loosened up.
Yeah, but now I got the giggles, but that's all right. I'll get over them soon.
Okay.
Okay, High Reaper's new album, Renewed by Death, drops from Heavy Psych Sounds on October 4th. Pre-orders are open now. Music
Hmm.
videos and vinyl are falling from the sky as we speak.
They are indeed.
There's, yes, there's some previous media out there already about your early life and the evolution of your musical career. I'd like to spend more time talking about High Reaper and the new album. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to rattle off an extremely truncated version of your personal music history, and then we
Okay.
can really dig in.
Okay. That's great.
Cool. All right. So, I would love it if you would please correct me with if I'm wrong. I'm totally leaving things out. I'm aware of this. I also apologize if you see my eyes moving like I'm reading. I totally am. All
Okay.
right. So you grew up in a household where you were able to enjoy a wide variety of music.
That
As a kid, yeah, as a kid, you were privy to the heavy music emerging at the time, and you were listening to AM radio. So those are some of the earliest influences of your musical history.
mhm.
In fourth grade, you played trumpet, so you took
It's either
instruction for
fourth
that.
or but yes, that's good enough. Yes, I can't
Good
remember.
enough.
Yeah, I believe it was fifth, but it could have been fourth. I can't say with any super degree of accuracy. But go
Before puberty.
ahead.
So where was I?
Yes,
So you were learning trumpet, and around the same time you gained access to your neighbor's musical instruments. So from there, you
that
pretty
is true.
much straight went for the bass immediately after that.
Mhm.
You were still in your adolescence when you picked up guitar, and then your first efforts with your guitar was to learn to play songs by ear that you heard on FM radio.
Yep.
You
Yep.
played in your first bands as a teenager, and at one point you took your playing more seriously, got some instruction and technical practice under your belt. Does
For sure.
that about sum it up?
You know what? That's pretty fucking good. Yes, that's better. That's probably better than I could have done. So yeah, that's good.
I enjoy doing my research.
Well, it
Or-
should.
Thanks. Um, so at some point in your high school years, you met High Reaper's current drummer, Justin DePinto. We're going to call him Devil for the duration of the interview.
I will. Yes, indeed.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you met?
Okay. Devil is so we went to the same high school, but we did not cross over. So I graduated in 90 and Devil was a freshman in 90, in the fall of 90. So I graduated in June. He was a freshman in fall. Uh, a friend of ours, a mutual friend of ours who graduated with him, kind of started hanging around our band when he and Devil were like 16 or 17. So Devil has a late birthday. His birthday is it's October 6th or 18th. He's born in 76. So he graduated when he was 17. I'm a tattooist. Actually, I'm doing my we're doing our interview from a tattoo studio, which is actually
I have a
connected.
spot for you right here, Shane.
Oh, okay. It's connected to our recording studios on the other side of the tattoo studio. Anyway, so I met Devil when he was 17. Like was I think it was June of 1994. So he would have just graduated high school, and he came in and I tattooed him, and he got like some like funny like I think like thing that's like his initials or something. And I remember calling our mutual friend afterwards, and I was like, "Yo," because of course there was no texting back then. It was you know, and I was like, "Who's this fucking devil boy you sent in here?" Because he was like, "Yeah, I'm friends with Rob. That's our mutual friend." And I was like, "Who's the fucking devil boy?" But anyway, that's how that was the beginning of my friendship with Devil. And it's so funny because when I met him, he's like, "Yo, my name's Justin." I was like, all right, what's up, man? And then, I called our mutual friend. I was, who the fuck was this fucking devil boy you sent in here? And then I started calling him Devil Boy, and then like it just kind of morphed into being Devil. And then like literally like around here where we're from in Delaware, like no one, girls, boys, like girlfriends, like whatever, no one calls him Justin, You're like, and then just Devil Boy turned into Devil, and then the guy has just been Devil like ever since. Good Lord. But anyway, yeah, and that was it. That's how I met him, and it's he, I grew up listening to metal and stuff, but I mean, I don't want to. I grew up listening to everything, including metal. And then when I met Devil, he kind of turned me on. He really got me turned on to like Morbid Angel and like death metal. That because he had already, he had been exposed to the same type of music that I had been exposed to growing up, but he was a step further than I was with the heavy stuff. So he turned me on to death metal and stuff like that. Got me into Morbid Angel and shit like that.
Very cool. Did you know that I also know him?
Yes.
Oh, you did.
Mhm.
Cool. Do you want to know how I met Justin? I mean,
Yes, I,
Devil.
I would love to hear it. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely yes.
All right. So I might be aging myself here, but
Malevolent or
wait, say again.
through Malevolent or through like Waco or through whom? Which
Mortal
band?
Decay.
Oh shit. Okay.
Oh yeah. So back in the early aughts, as they call them now, I was
They
beginning
do.
my
First, I what people meant by that, but now I do. So go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So so it was in the early aughts in the days of MySpace. I was beginning my own journey into the wonderful world of death metal. And I found myself being gravitated towards bands that had technical capability but still kept a groove.
Mm,
And I I connected with I think the two guitarists of that band, made fast friends over MySpace. And then I lived in California at the time, so when the metal festival came, that folks from the East Coast were finally coming out to the West Coast, we all got together. So I met Devil there, and I can't remember if I met him again after that in Illinois or Maryland or both at
okay.
some metal festivals.
Yeah.
We've been in touch off and on since then, so about a 20
Fantastic.
year history with him.
That's fantastic. Like
Yeah.
Full Terror Assault. Did you go that one or
No, no, no.
this?
I went to, well, it was called California Death Fest, but it was put on by a different group of people than
Okay.
whoever did it in the last 10 years. Central Illinois Metal Fest and Maryland Death Fest. That
Yep.
was all in the span of I think 2 or 3 years.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So he kind of turned you on to death metal, and he turned me on to High Reaper. When I got onto Instagram, he was one
Yeah.
of the first people I found from back in the day. I'm like, oh, I don't even, I told him I don't even listen to death metal anymore. And he's like, oh, well, I play in a stoner metal band. Like, you do what
Yeah.
now? You do what? So he turned me on to High Reaper, and that was, I think, either right. I think it was right after you guys released Higher Reaper.
The
Uh,
second, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So it was right after that, and his favorite track at the time was Barbarian, and I could see why. He really got to let loose on that track.
Yeah, no doubt.
He was
It's fun.
drumming.
Like being I will say this about him, like I mean I've known him a long time, obviously, but he's got a great attitude. He's easy to be in a band with, and he's easy just even as a friend, he's easy to be friends with. He's just got a good attitude. Like he is on the road, like the guy, he always makes you laugh. He always, it's just funny. He and I grew up on the same kind of stuff. We relate on the same level. We just we have a bunch of inside jokes we've had. we have a bunch of mutual friends that we've had for, the 30 years that we've known each other. My comfort level with him is really high. So there's just like, I think with friendships, it's kind of difficult to replicate or replace, um, you know, like time you've spent with someone.
Yeah,
And with, you know, I never have to feel any way about anything. I'm just like, yo, man, shit is fucked up. And I'll be like, yeah, I got you. Everything's good. We're good. Or if I'll be like, yo, this shit is tight. I'll be like, yeah, all right, yeah, it is. It's just really there's a comfort level that you have that is beyond normal friendship. I think you'd say.
cool. That's a great segue into my next point.
Okay.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but your desire to achieve peak performance is still guiding your work, right?
Well, sure. I mean, for me personally, yeah. I mean,
Good, good, good. So you produced, engineered, mixed, and mastered Renewed by Death, and Devil took on an engineering role.
mhm,
So, as you were just saying, the two of you historically have a pretty cool working dynamic.
we
When
do,
you're in the studio, you even have your own language when you're building new material.
for sure.
So, did the two of you have to adapt your collaborative style in any way to co-engineer this record? Did it come naturally?
No, it's real. This is super simple to answer. We have a studio together, and I mean, I like. I mean, I'm an engineer. I learned how to engineer in the '90s. Dev also engineers. Um, like I said, we have the studio together, and Devil knows that Devil's he's a mechanic. I mean, that's his job, and I don't like to get weighed down with technical shit. That doesn't mean that I don't like to get involved in mic placement or EQing. I don't mean that kind of shit. But when we go to make a record, I'm like, yo, Devil, set up the drums. I mean, not no, I'm not commanding him to do anything, but I'm like, hey, let's set up like this. Let's put a D112 on the inside. Let's put a RE20 on the outside. Put a 414 on the side of the snare. Put a 57 on top of the snare. Uh, put 451s as overheads, and he does all that shit. And then he deals with the wiring of the snake and all that shit, and he does it all, and he loves to do that shit. And that is our relationship in terms of engineering together. Is it? I don't want to do that. I don't like with drums. I don't feel like putting up fucking 80 mics. I say he knows where I want them to be. And he's like, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And he goes out there with his fucking OCD life and does that shit. If something's
Cool.
fucked, I'm gonna be like, yo, the snare is fucked up. We gotta move to 57. That shit sounds like ass. And he's like, all right, yeah, yeah, yeah. But
So you're,
that truly is like kind of our flow, and it works for both of us. I mean,
yeah,
because when he's doing his scorched stuff, his current death metal project, they're also from here. It's the same thing. He's like, yo, I'm gonna set up for Scorch, and I'll be like, all right, sick. Let's do this, this, and this. Let's use 451s as overheads. I don't want to use, large diaphragm condensers or something. He's like, oh yeah, yeah, that sounds good. I'm like, all right, give me a space pair and put it over the snare on the fucking ride or whatever it is. And he's like, yeah, yeah, I got you. So it's good. We work, you know, we work well together.
awesome.
And
So
part of it,
for
he understands me. I'm demanding. I'm annoying. I'm fucking. He doesn't get when I'm fucking in my shit and I'm being a fucking like uptight asshole. And I'm like, yo, 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 get that shit. Get that shit together. He's not like. He's just like, oh yeah, that's Shane being Shane. Like he's not like. He's like, all right. It doesn't even phase him. But part of that is, it's because we've known each other so long. So it's great.
I understand you like to pull workflows into your dynamics, so it seems to me that having him as a partner during that process allows you to stick with your workflow a lot better and have less interruptions, which I'm
Hmm.
gonna say is I think well, we'll get into it later. But yeah, that's great. That's awesome. For me, knowing his history as a drummer in the death metal scene, I was surprised but not shocked to see the subject matter of your music videos and song titles kind of take a little bit of a dark turn.
Hmm.
Um, so I already know that you guys are comfortable around the underbelly of the underground, as it were. But can you tell me about how Pat and Jimmy sort of were involved in this darkening, if you will, of your themes?
Yeah, it's really easy. So when we started and when Devil wasn't in the band and our old drummer Naps was in the band, and Naps and I had been playing as a rhythm section for like 7 years, 6 years together in our original guitar player Andrew's band, um, helping him out with his stuff. That when I decided to make this project, initially I thought it was going to be I was going to be guitar player, but when Andrew, our original guitar player, didn't want to sing, and he was like, "No, I just want to play guitar." I was like, "You know what? Fuck it, I'll just play bass." If Drew's playing guitar, I'm just going to play bass, and then Pat can play guitar with him. And then since that happened, Naps was drumming because I was like, "All right." I was originally going to get Devil to play with the project, but when that didn't happen, the direction of the project went a certain way because I wasn't playing guitar.
Sure.
Okay. So it was more rhythmic, all this shit because I was playing bass. I was writing a bunch. I wrote not not for any reason other than Pat was living at the beach at the time, and Naps and I were getting together by ourselves like frequently. I wrote most of the first record. Just or not I wrote Naps and I wrote it. However, um, so when Naps left the band, the Devil came in after we did a tour, 2 tours with Devil. After that, Andrew left the band, and then Pat and I talked about it. We were like, okay, I'll start playing guitar. Once, I mean, just even with Devil being the drummer on the second record, it changed us a little bit. We started drifting towards classic metal. I mean, it wasn't like a hard shift or anything, but it's it. We didn't write like a repeat of the first record as our second record. We were changing a little bit,
Hmm.
and when we went to write this record, I'm just trying to keep the story relatively short. But when I became the guitar player, at the same time, Jimmy came in on bass, etc. It was kind of an opportunity for Devil and I to lean into growing up on Slayer, Metallica, Pantera, Nuclear Assault, Exodus, whatever, it doesn't matter, all that kind of stuff. And even a little bit of like Jane's Addiction, like a little bit of, for me at least, like a little bit of Jane's Addiction, a little bit of Dokken, like with the guitar playing, like the George Lynch kind of style thing, a little bit, but just all this kind of stuff, and it just allowed us to do that. But especially for um, throughout that time, like from the first record, Pat Devil and I had kind of developed a rapport in terms of songwriting. And, I had said to Pat, like, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing this, 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 and this. And then so, that's kind of like what we did when we were writing songs and having Jimmy around. We had never really written a record with a bass player. Pat, I mean, I wrote most of the first record with Naps, but some of it was a little bit of it was kind of with Pat and Andrew to an extent. But the second record was really more, it was more shared between Pat and I. But we didn't, I was playing guitar. I would play guitar. When I wrote with Naps, I was just playing the guitar. Because then previously, I mostly was a guitar player. I mean, I probably played pretty much every instrument in some band at some point. But for the most part, I was a guitar player and a bass player. But so when we were writing the second record, even I was still playing guitar. It was the Devil, Pat, and Pat and I were both playing guitar. And then so for this record, the great thing was that we had Jimmy around. So for Pat and I, for the first time, well, no, and for Devil, of course, for the first time since we had written together, we actually had like, we had a bass player like with us.
Hmm.
It was just like I can't really overstate the importance of that or how much Jimmy helped. Like like him being there during the writing of this record, to realize this record, to make the record that we made.
Cool.
Is that answer okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was perfect. Thank you so much. That was great. Currently at this moment, there are three music videos out for this record, renewed by Death, I believe. Am I wrong?
There's two, and hold on a second, let me think. Dan did, let's see, we have three singles and we have two actual videos. Three
Okay.
singles, two videos. That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
The first
Um,
single was it was fuck, I don't even remember the name of the song.
w- we don't
Second,
have to do the quiz. We don't have to do the quiz, but the point that I'm getting at is I want to talk about music videos. So, um, these are the first that High Reaper has done. Yes?
we did videos for every record.
You have. Okay. Sorry I didn't find
Oh,
those. I get an F.
you can find them on,
Um,
and our friend Dan Doan, who did he did our video for Alluring Violence, the one that had Jillian from Ruby the
yeah.
Hat and her lovely boyfriend Alex in it.
Hmm.
And so Dan did that video, but he did a video for um gosh, I gotta think. He did a video for, what was the one we did for the second record? It wasn't Eternal Leviathan. It was like, I don't
So
know.
you've worked with them before.
Oh yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Dan's like a 20 plus year friend. And he also we had a video for Chrome Hammer for our first record that was it wasn't viral, but it was pretty fucking viral. It was pretty, it was insane. It blew us up like crazy.
Cool. So
Mm-hmm.
we know that music videos are a powerful tool for High Reaper.
For
What
sure.
was different or the same, I guess, about since you have the same director there, what was different or the same about this set you did?
Nothing, I mean, Dan's one of my, the guy, well, actually, let me backtrack. The one who made the, like, kind of like horror movie style video, Dan, he's one of my closest friends and has been for 20 years. So, I mean, again, it's just like my relationship with Devil, like, there's nothing different. Zach was like, I don't want to do a fucking performance video. I want to do like this. And I said, or Dan said, I don't really think what you want is possible. Let's find something that's possible that we can actually
Yeah.
achieve. And so we did it.
Hmm.
And then for the second video is another my friend Sean, who I was in a band with in my 20s. He's also a friend of Dan's, and he was like, he is a motion graphics guy. He's done like motion graphics for like the Ted Bundy tapes on like Netflix and shit like
Oh,
that. That's like his job. He was in a band called the Toilet Boys. Um, uh, they toured Europe with the Chili Peppers. I mean, I used to play with him sometimes in that band also. But anyway, he did that. So again, another thing where he was like, "Yeah, I want to make a video." I was like, "Okay, cool." He's like, "I'm going to come down to the studio and shoot you guys." And I was like, "Yeah, sure, like whatever you want." And then he just did the most recent video. So for us, it's not even it's just it's nothing. It's just like doing shit with friends. It's like it's nothing. It was really like literally with both of them, it's the same. It's like, hey, I'm coming down because they both live in New York. They're like, hey, I'm coming down. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then you know, come down, and then 2 days later, you got a fucking video.
That's great. I know sometimes when projects are done amongst friends, the timeline can get a little bit messed up because you're having too much fun. But it seems like you guys are able to balance that
Yeah,
out with the,
it's nothing
staying
like
on
that.
target.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, hey, we're doing this shit, and I'm just like, okay, and then they do it, and then we say thanks.
Nice. Low conflict, high productivity.
Zero conflict. Yes,
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's talk about wax.
let's talk about it.
Are you a record collector?
No,
No.
I
All
grew
right.
up
However,
being
okay.
old. I mean, I grew up with records, but no, I want to qualify this statement by saying that in the '90s and 2000s, I was, when I say super into, I can't like say enough how into collecting musical instruments and amplifiers I was and
Mm,
synthesizers.
okay.
Um, at some point, I gave all that up and sold all of it, so I don't collect anything anymore. I don't. My brain is way off that.
Right on. That's cool.
I, I,
Uh,
I kind of like it's almost like I went to rehab and I was like, all right, I cured myself of that, and so I'm going to stay that way. So no, I don't collect anything I don't collect anything anymore.
is
What
that
I,
part of your life philosophy?
my life philosophy? Well, in general, I'm not super sentimental. I don't own a bunch of things. I don't have pictures of things. Um, so, I mean, I guess it kind of aligns with the way that I live my life, but I'm a person of, let's say, I don't want to make myself sound like something I'm not, but I don't have a lot of things. I mean, I'll have pictures. I don't
Yeah.
own pictures of shit. Like if you say, hey man, show me a picture of you when you were 5. I mean, I might have I might have one, but
Sure. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm
but
I'm
I don't
I'm
have
kind of the
photo
same
albums.
way.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found for me with my life experience, having a bunch of things has not been to my advantage. And I
Oh,
understand why people want to collect.
me too.
So I understand why a big part of our community is about collecting. So there are a lot of folks out there who are really looking forward to the LP designs that you all are about to
I look,
put
I look,
out.
I mean, I have all of our LPs and I think it looks cool, but in general, like if you think I'm gonna be like, yeah, let me put this record on. Nah, I'm just gonna find that shit on Spotify and blast it.
Sure. However, I'm wondering, since I'm trying to think of a way to say this that doesn't come out. I want it to reflect who you really are, but I guess I'm going to say you're a very industrious person. You care about the quality of the work that you put out into the world.
Like,
So
yeah,
you're a hard worker, and I don't think it's in your character to put something out that you're not 100% satisfied with. So, what is your role in designing these LPs, and how much of a role are you playing in it?
well, I would say that I'm mostly, I mean, I'm the art director. So, uh, I have the idea and I work with the artist, Luca, um, who has done our record covers. And I say, hey, Luca, I want to do something like this and that. So, I work with him until we get it right.
Cool.
So
How
I
does
am
that initial concept cook in your head?
something that comes to me. I just have an idea and I say, Luca, hey man, like I'm thinking about X or Y. What do you think about it? Luca, I have a great relationship with Luca. And I mean, I'm a super fan of his. So it's really easy to work with him because I trust him. It doesn't mean that, we see eye to eye on everything, but it means that in the end, I know that we're going to get the result. And the band knows, I said, hey, like for the second record, I was like, hey, I got an idea. And they're like, all right, cool. I was like, just let me deal with Luca and we'll get it. and we had a great record cover. And for this record, it was the same. I toyed with the idea of like, hey, let's go something like totally outside of the genre. Let's try something different or this. But in the end, I could not come up with an idea that satisfied uh, my desire to be like outside of what's expected. And so ultimately, I went with my idea, which was this, which is a Reaper writing stage. Which I mean, because like I grew up on Frazetta record covers and Kiss, and all
Yeah.
that. I mean, like the ridiculousness of Iron Maiden record covers, or even Metallica, like whether it's the fucking electric chair or whether it's the graveyard with Master Puppets and all that shit. It's just you have to sometimes say like, all right, I'm going to be ridiculous, and then be ridiculous.
I love to hear that. Couple of things. So, um, the first time I saw High Reaper's cover art and the name of your band, like these guys have to have a sense of humor. I can't look at this and take it completely seriously. I loved it so much. I don't know, but sometimes I'm an overthinker and I might be seeing things that aren't there.
Well, I want to say something that okay, well, when we started the band, it wasn't like we weren't like, oh man, we got to be like the fucking greatest band. I was like, yo, I want to kind of like do like a Sabbath style band. And I'm a tattooist, and we have at work we have some like old piece of flash from the '70s. So there's this old piece of hold on, I can actually get it. Hold on one second.
All right, cool.
Give me one sec. It's right
Yeah.
on the wall. Uh, okay, here it is. So like we're just in a group. All right, so here I am. So we're just in a group chat about like, hey man, like what could the name be or whatever, all this bullshit. And I was like, how about like High Reaper? So we have this old piece of flash here by Cliff Raven, who was he went to Chicago. I want to say he went to Chicago Art Institute in the early '70s. He was one of the first tattooist to kind of not just be a criminal. Like he wasn't in it because he was a criminal.
Yeah.
He was in it because he was like trying to be artistic and kind of move the industry forward. So anyway, there is this design right here of a reaper smoking an opium pipe. Okay,
Can
that's
you
what that.
bring it a little bit closer to the camera, possibly?
Oh shit! Hold on, this
It's
stupid.
okay. You can do it.
There it
I
is.
know
There.
yeah, there
This
we
guy.
go. Very cool.
So we were
Thank you.
just having like a group, just like, and I was like, how about High Reaper? And I was like, and I was like, I took this photo of the Reaper smoking an opium pipe, and they were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And like, like this was not like we weren't like having discussions about like, you know, solving the world's hunger.
Okay, okay, fine. But is the double E a riff on Reefer or not?
No, nope,
Were you
no.
just being different?
One of my friends who is actually like a super like real for real like arch criminal. One of my friends who's like a mega like lunatic. He tried to get this is so funny. He tried to get uh a vanity tag that said Reaper on it, like regular EAPER. And when he went to DMV to get the tag, they were like, "No, that's taken." So he got a vanity tag that says Reaper on it, REEPER. That was the only reason. It was really more than anything because, like I said, like we didn't know this is going to be like a real band. It's more than anything just to make him laugh. And I was like, "Look, man, Reaper." It's like, yeah, he's like, this guy's totally insane. But yeah, that's all that was. It was not. I don't even smoke weed. I stopped smoking weed in 1989.
Yep, that was
I don't even,
part of the mystery.
I'm not gonna speak for anyone else in the band, but I will speak for myself in that I've not smoked. I've not done apart from drinking alcohol. I really haven't done any drugs since I was in high school. I mean, don't worry. I did plenty of them when I did them, but yeah, I haven't really done drugs since I was a kid.
There are a lot of us who are involved in one or more of the stoner, psych, doom, rock, whatever you want to call it. We hate these labels. We're sick of these labels, but it's like part of how we communicate our content to our community. So I really try to avoid them whenever possible, and that's when it's sometimes convenient to pull out a thesaurus and figure out, how else can I describe this band without lumping them with just some arbitrary words and create these unrealistic expectations.
Mhm.
So we can say, something is psych, something is stoner, you're on the label Heavy Psych Sounds, but it's not necessarily about drug culture anymore. It's more about mentality. I think there's a lot of experimentation involved, and that theme is something that definitely carries over from drug culture into, now this huge music community that involves all walks of people, not just folks who like to get fucked up, but folks who like to continue the uh, anti-authoritarian experimental, watch me break the rules, or just reaching so far out of the box. We're just like defying convention. Um,
Sure. I mean,
and
like, but also, I mean, like, even though, I don't do drugs now, it doesn't mean that my past drug use hasn't influenced my life or the way that I view the world. So that's also important. I mean that sincerely. Like, that is true. I might not smoke weed anymore or do any other drugs, but you know, doing smoking weed and doing acid and drugs like that when you're a kid, it changes you. I mean, for the better. I mean, so those things. And Devil's the same way. Devil is like me. I mean, Devil's the same way. He doesn't really, he drinks. I mean, he did acid when he was a kid, like me, but he doesn't like do that shit now. But it's certainly, he can relate, we can relate on that level when we talk about making music and say, hey man, I want it to be like this. If we were making something tripped out and I said, yo man, let's make this like 8 Miles High, by the Birds, and he'd be like, yeah man, I'll fuck with that. Or if I said, hey man, let's make some Sid Barrett shit, because he and I are both like mega Pink Floyd fans. And if I'm saying like, yo, I'm going for some metal vibe here, he'd be like, I got a metal like Meddle, like the Pink Floyd record, not Metal. But he's going to be right there with me. Mm-hmm.
did you say Meddle?
Mm-hmm.
You did.
Yeah,
Just just
that's
checking.
yeah, the Pink Floyd record.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure that I heard you
It's Fearless.
correctly.
Great song. Not sure if you ever heard
You better be joking, dude.
it. I am joking.
It's
Totally
not
joking.
like I own that record on
No,
vinyl
no,
or
no.
anything.
I'm,
Jeez.
that's a
Oh
joke.
my God. Ah, ha, ha. So, moving on, I guess. You and I and many other folks in the over 40 club are hip to the role of prog rock in our little doom stoner psych corner of the
Mm-hmm.
underground.
Mm-hmm.
So, did anything like that come up when you were in the early stages of creating Renewed by Death?
Prog rock.
Or well, let's say for example, Jeff Lynne era ELO.
Well,
I know there's some pop aspects to that too, but we'll just
I
leave the
mean,
nomenclature to the side.
I love Jeff Lynne. He is one of my heroes, and I had the good fortune of seeing ELO a few years ago when they were in Philly, and they just recently came around. Jimmy went to the show. Zach did not go to the show, but Alex, our friend who was in the Jillian's boyfriend, who was in the um, uh, Alluring Violence video. He went to the show also. I didn't go, but I had the good fortune of going a few years ago. Um, this was not this record was more in, like I said before, it was really Slayer. If I had to say, like, like pare it down and say, hey, it's like Ride the Lightning, um, Master Puppets, Seasons in the Abyss, and Vulgar Display of Power. That's what went into this record.
Cool. So we'll say that if we hear any other potential influence, then it's not necessarily deliberate, but kind of
Not
just part
deliberate,
of your own
but I
musical
mean part of my,
genetics and what you
yes,
do.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool. Very cool.
exactly. Yeah.
So
Now,
what is your, oh, sorry, go ahead.
if you want me to start like going off about Jeff Lynne, I mean, I'm happy to. I
No,
mean,
no, I really just
gotta
want to
go
ask one question.
and pull the guitar down and start talking. I don't know that,
We'll
I don't
save
want to,
that.
I don't want to subject anyone to that, but yes, I
We'll
mean, I'm
we'll save that for the prog rock roundtable. We'll get some other musicians together and we'll get crazy. How's that sound? Um, but for today, I really just want to know what's your favorite ELO track, if you even have one.
okay. My personal favorite
Yeah.
would be probably Wild West Hero.
All right, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay. It's ready for
That,
more.
I mean, that one of my best friends who died. I want to say this just for him, for Gerard, that Showdown was his favorite.
Oh, I love that track. I love that track so much. That
It's
one
it
and
starts.
Turn to Stone. I always get moving when I hear those. I'm just like, I can't sit still. Yeah,
Hold on one
great.
sec.
What do you
Okay,
got for us?
let me see. I don't know if I got it here. Okay. Okay. All right. So, since you mentioned Turn to Stone, this is
Ah,
this is 1957. I bought this for myself for my 50th birthday. So the city streets are empty now.
the lights don't shine no more.
Okay, so that's really great. This is like a really this is. I'm glad you mentioned the track because this is really a classic Jeff Lynne. He liked to use so like the major minor change that you find in like are sneaking upon me and it leaves me weak. So sleep, Simon. Was it Pete? So anyway, so
Yeah.
oftentimes when you hear the major minor change, you're going to resolve the tonic uh, in like that in Air That I Breathe by the Hollies. We're going back to C. We're doing F major, F minor, C. So Jeff Lynne, which he does this, like he does that change in a zillion ELO songs in Turn to Stone. So it's like E major is like the city streets are empty now. So he just
You gotta stop stopping. You're like, play some more for us. Come on. Give us
so
at least the first
does it.
verse.
It's just really crazy because he does it and then continues in key, even though he switches the two chord to him. I mean,
Yeah.
he makes a two chord a major. So, which would be like Lydian, I guess, was it two major? That's it. Yeah, so Lydian's going to be where you got the two chord as major. So he's like, yeah, it's really great. It's great. I mean, the guy, I can't get caught up in all this shit, but yeah, let's just
All
say
right.
it's a fantastic song.
Thank you. I'm glad I picked a good one
He's the
for you.
best. He's the best.
Cool. That was a
Mhm.
treat. That really was
Oh,
an
that's great.
unexpected treat.
It is. It's Jeff Lynne.
It's Jeff Lynne.
Hmm.
All right,
Sure.
gotta calm down after that. That was very exciting. Uh, all right, so we talked about your favorite ELO track. You can hold the guitar if you're more comfortable with it, no problem. Do you have a favorite track on Renewed by Death?
It's a good question. Let me think. Mm, I do, in fact. I would say maybe like I gotta think. I don't know, like I think like whatever the first single was, which I don't remember what it's called. I like that guitar solo. Mm, I think I like whichever the song is like Jaws of Darkness. Maybe that's my favorite. Hmm. I like
J
that guitar solo too.
Jaws of Darkness is also my favorite track. I love it very much.
It has.
And so what makes it your favorite? Sorry.
What makes it my favorite is that it was a song that we wrote and arranged in about literally about 5 minutes, and it captures. It has a lot of stuff in it to me. It has like Seasons in the Abyss vibe by Slayer, but it has a real guitar solo. It just I don't know. I just like it. I just really really like it. I really like it. I like it. I don't know. I think that's my favorite one.
I
Now,
like it too, and it definitely hits in a special place for me. It is a little bit different than the other tracks on the record, especially with the tempo being a little bit slower. Um, I I really love that track for some of the same reasons that I love the entire album, but I picked that one in particular just because it gives me that feeling right here, and that's the only way I can explain it. So you're like, you like it, you just do. I just do. It hits right, you
yeah,
know?
I like it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, I mixed the record. I listened to it a zillion times, but I've not really listened to it all the way through since I mixed it. So, I mean, there are probably songs I forgot are even on there, even though there's only 8 songs on there. But I mean, truthfully, but yeah, I like that one a lot. I do. I do. I like it very much.
One of the things that I wrote down about that track, if I can find it really quick, but I don't know. I am not going to pretend to be so pretentious and wonderful to give your album a full review. There are plenty of people who excel at that, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm one of them and have enough experience to do that, let alone to your face. But I would like to give you my opinion of the record if you are willing to hear
Please,
it.
good
Cool.
or bad, I hear it.
Right on. My opinion of Renewed by Death is that it's much tighter technically. It's both heavier and yet more melodic than your previous records. And when I first saw the very first image of your music video with the machete, like, oh shit, I can see what's coming. I know what's coming. Like, this is gonna be fucking great. Excuse my language. So when I got to actually listen to the whole thing, I was not let down. When Devil told me what kind of band he was playing for, I did have a little bit of an expectation. So when I heard his contributions on High Reaper, like totally unexpected that he would participate in a band like that, but at the same time very intrigued because of the art style, um, the sense of humor that I perceived that wasn't necessarily intentional. And now, listening to Renewed by Death, I'm finding that this is kind of the High Reaper that I expected to get, knowing that Devil's a part of your band. So it seems like, first of all, Zach found a more natural vocal range for himself. His, I'm really glad you took the reverb out of the vocals. So I have to say, he sounds great. His singing is smooth, it's sensual, it's evocative, it's heavy. So I think that it's just a lot more dynamic. And saying that, it seems like he fell into the groove. Well, it seems like the rest of y'all did too. And where the first record, you're not going to get offended by this. It felt a little bit restrictive. So like this record seems to me that all of you have let all of that go. You're no longer trying to restrict yourselves to meet an objective. You're showing up as a team to make something awesome. And it's coming out much more authentically. It feels like there's a better balance of being technical without coming off as mechanical, especially you with your guitar playing,
Hmm.
managing to be both technical and fluid at the same time.
Hmm.
And it's like, yeah, you're giving us a lot of new stuff, but it's all held together in a recognizable High Reaper package, which is great. And this record, I would describe it as being intelligently made yet unpretentious because you're coming across to me as more confident in your identity as a force in the larger heavy metal scene. Um, you're on Heavy Psych, so you're bringing this vibe to our niche. But I am very curious to see how this album hits both inside and outside of our genre. It indicates to me that you guys are ready for big things, and I feel privileged to be sitting here with you right now.
Thank you. I like all that stuff. Thank you very much for saying all that. I appreciate
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I only
it.
felt good saying all that because of the time we've spent together today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. I appreciate you giving your opinion, good or bad. I don't, you don't, you only make records, or I only make records, the records that we're going to make. And you just hope that people like them. And if they don't, you got to live with it. And if they do, it's good. And I'm, 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 I'm glad that it resonated with you because, I said it, maybe I said it to the devil or something like this is like the record I wish I made in like 1994,
Oh, damn.
So,
That's
I
that's
didn't
awesome.
made it now, so,
Yep.
uh, and I personally very much love our first two records, but when I became full-time guitarist, instead of the bass player, you know, we went a different direction. And instead, we made the metal record that Devil and I would have made in 1994 together. But of course, a little bit differently because we had Pat and Jimmy aboard. So it's not just Devil and I, like indulging our whatever we want to do. There are other people involved, and Zach too. I mean, of course, but I just meant musically. I mean, beyond
Well,
before we talk about focus.
what was Pro Tools around in 94?
Pro Tools, I gotta think. The first time we used Pro Tools was to master a record in like, I want to say first time it was at Sigma. I used it with a guy named John. John, was it with John Aaron? So maybe in 96. I mean, I'm sure it was in 94, but up until, I mean, I didn't start using Pro Tools as my main way to record until the 2000s. I came up using tape, and that's how I learned to engineer, was using
Yeah.
tape. So I'm
Which
sure.
now you don't feel any need to use anymore, right?
Was that?
You don't feel the need to use tape anymore. You've got your workflows.
Yeah.
You got it
Uh,
dialed in.
I personally didn't start using Pro Tools as my, primary means of recording until the 2000s.
Cool. So to put a bow on it, based off of what you said, we can say that this new High Reaper album is the album that Shane and Devil would have written in 1994 if
Somewhat
they
like
had the tools to do it the way they did it this time around.
something like that.
Awesome.
That's true.
Yeah, something like that.
I think
Well, sorry, what?
I said that sounds good enough.
Yeah, good enough. So when can we expect to see you guys take the stage again? I think you have a local show scheduled in November. Anything else beyond
Exactly.
that?
We're working on that. We're figuring all that stuff out right
Okay, if any promoters are interested in booking you guys, should they reach out?
now. Sure, they can reach out to us on our Instagram.
You got it. We have covered a lot of ground today, and I'm so sorry that it ever
I, talk,
has to end. Hmm?
I said, I know I talk too much. I apologize.
No, that's not what I was saying at all. I was sincere when I talked about the prog rock roundtable, so just keep in mind that you might be hearing from me about that. Um, but before
Devil
we wrap things up,
prog rock more than I do.
who does?
Devil does.
Well,
More into like King Crimson and all that shit than I like the ELP. That's where I look.
sometimes sometimes
Other
you want a more talkative person on the panel, so maybe you guys can draw straws.
Devil is definitely not talkative, but he does like prog rock more than I do. I mean, I love ELP, but and I love like Phil Collins era Genesis. So like Abacab and stuff, like
Hmm.
starting to move away from prog, but not all the way yet. But I'm not super prog guy.
All right, well, thanks for ruining my joke.
But I do love ELP, and I mean like for real. I hate Carl Palmer, but I love Keith Emerson.
Would you like to say anything more to our viewers?
I hope you enjoy the record. I mean, if you don't, I appreciate that too. But we did the best we could, and you know, it's something. I don't want to say it like we did the best that we could, and you know, I'm proud of it. I'm really happy, and you know, I hope that it resonates with people. I mean, that's really it. Like as an artist, you know, you always hope you do the best that you can to satisfy whatever is inside of you at that specific time. And you just, the only way to make a good record is doing that. And then you hope that people enjoy it. Because if you make a record where you're trying to satisfy people, you're probably never going to satisfy anyone, you know?
Yeah.
So we did our best to make a record that we loved and we love it. And you know, after having played bass for the last 10 years to come back to like being a lead guitar player, I mean, I put a fucking lot of work into it, you know, and into becoming a lead guitar player again. And it was fun. It was great. It was a great challenge. And I had an idea as to what like a true lead guitar player in this band needed to sound like. And I did my best to become that, to become what I imagined it needed to be. And you know, I think that like it, you should probably be able to hear the difference in this record musically compared to other records, and you can see the steps we were taking from the second record, and even to an EP after the second record.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we enjoyed writing this record, we enjoyed recording this record, and we really hope that people enjoy it, and that's about it.
Thank you. Well, I loved it, and I hope
Thank
everyone who's watched this or anyone who's waiting for the release enjoys it as much as I did. Once more, High Reaper's next album, Renewed by Death, will be out on October 4th, Heavy Psych Sounds. Get your pre-order if you haven't yet, and if it's out now, go get it.
Yeah,
We'll stay
we
tuned
have
for your yeah.
we have a super special limited Bandcamp only splatter edition that's going on sale tomorrow, whichever day I don't know what day of the month that is.
Tomorrow is Friday, September 27th, and there's 30 copies.
We're going to limit, we have more than that, but we're going to limit it to 30 on our Bandcamp and sell the remainder of the shows.
There you go, you heard it. So we don't know where you're touring yet, so folks should not take the chance on missing out on that pressing. All right, well, thanks so much, Shane. It's been wonderful talking with
My
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for the ELO concert, and
Hey, unfortunately for general public, there's a lot more where that came from.
fortunately for me, I get to keep in touch with you, and we should do it again.
Pleasure.
All right, man. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.